Hi, I'm Dr. Rodger Murphree. I want to share some information about preventing fibro flares. 30 years specializing in treating fibromyalgia patients around the world. One of the biggest complaints that my patients have is these fibro flares. And with fibro, you know that you really get run down. I mean, it is an illness that really robs you of, your oftentimes your livelihood, your friends, your social life, sometimes your family doesn't understand either. And certainly your work life, your hobbies. It robs you of so many things. One of the things that it does is it really causes you not to be able to handle stress. You really lose your ability to be able to have stamina or resiliency to stress. You can't rebound from stress. It really takes it out of you. And oftentimes stress sends you into a fibro flare, right? So many of my patients, initially, what I learned when I started working with them 30 years ago was that if I could get them going into deep restorative sleep and I could get them to really be able to get into delta wave sleep where the body is healing itself, they would feel better. I mean, obviously, if you're sleeping better, you feel better the next day, you're going to have more energy, both mentally and physically. Your moods are going to be better. But what we also saw was that they had dramatically less inflammation and pain. That's the first step. But what we ran into, my practitioners and I, when we were helping our patients get into this deep restorative sleep, preferably naturally with natural protocols, we would find that, yeah, they felt better, but then they'd go and do things that they hadn't done in years, right? Because with fibromyalgia, you're oftentimes really limited what you can do. If you overdo it, you pay the price, right? So they would overdo it because it'd been months, some of them have been years, and they hadn't been able to go shopping or go out with the friends or to host family members for a birthday or some type of celebration. They would do these things and they'd crash. They'd be back in bed for 2 or 3 days. So what years ago I learned was that this had to do with adrenal fatigue syndrome. Now, in conventional medicine, they're going to tell you that it's black and white. Either you have Addison's disease or you have Cushing's disease. They don't really acknowledge that there's a thing called sluggish adrenal function or adrenal fatigue syndrome, where your stress coping glands that give you that energy, both mentally and physically, and allow you to have stamina and resiliency to stress. They don't really buy into the idea that your adrenal glands can be sluggish or defective, and you still not have a disease, a pathological disease. But if you look at the measurement of cortisol, which is what we're talking about, the stress coping hormone cortisol, if you look at the normal measurement, let's just say it's around 10. That would be the lowest. Anything below that would mean that you have a problem with Addison's disease. You don't have enough, or the other way around, you don't have enough cortisol, so you can't handle stress very well. And then if you go above 20, then you have too much. So, but you could be 11, right? You could be right above the 10, and they tell you everything's normal. Everybody's different. We are as different on the inside as we are on the outside. So our cells work different. We have different chemicals. We have different genetic makeup. Just the way God made us, we're different. And for one person, an 11 on the scale of cortisol is fine. But for other people, an 11 would be something similar to someone having it down at a 3. So everybody's different. And what I found is across the board, my patients with fibromyalgia had issues with adrenal fatigue syndrome. Now, how do you know if you have adrenal fatigue syndrome? Well, do you have fibromyalgia? But do you have trouble first thing in the morning just getting out of bed? I mean, you're exhausted in the morning no matter how much sleep you had. Do you have problems with tingling in your hands and feet, cold hands and feet? Do you have low blood sugar? If you go from lying down to standing up, do you feel dizzy? Does your blood pressure drop? Do you ever checked it? In fact, one way you can check to see if you have adrenal fatigue is kind of a broad way to look at it. It's better to have blood test, or even better, a 4-sample saliva test. But if you have adrenal fatigue, one thing you'll find is if you test your blood pressure lying down and then you stand up and take it again, you'll see that your blood pressure should go up when you go from lying down to standing up. But if you have adrenal fatigue, it will go down and it will drop. That's a sign of adrenal fatigue. So if your blood pressure is 120/80 lying down, and then you stand up and take your blood pressure perpendicular to your heart, out in front of you, or perpendicular to the body, heart level. Take it again, left arm. And what you should see is that 120/80, it should go up. So it should go to 125, 130. If it stays the same or drops, that's a sign of adrenal fatigue. And you know why you can't handle stress very well and why you have no energy. Another way to check it is go into a dark bathroom. Turn the light off at night, looking into the medicine cabinet, look in the mirror, cover one eye and shine a pin light in the other eye. What you should see is the pupil should constrict, it should get smaller. If it dilates, gets larger within 30 seconds or so, that's a sign of adrenal fatigue. Until you correct your adrenal fatigue issues, you're always going to be vulnerable to fibro flares. There is a free report and a free ebook, one or the other. It alternates back and forth at eonow.comndfibr. You can grab that free report or ebook, and it will tell you exactly how to repair those sluggish, unresponsive adrenal glands that you're dealing with that are causing you to have these fibro flares. Once you start using those protocols, you'll find that you'll be able to do more, and you'll be able to not only prevent flares, but if you get in a flare, you'll be able to get out of a flare pretty quickly. So check out the free report or free ebook at endfibronow.com. And for all sorts of free information, go to yourfibrodoctor.com, and you can learn more about me and my protocols in fibromyalgia there. Thank you so much.